It's the Friday before Labor Day, and we just got word that we are going to have freezing temperatures and snow come Labor Day, at least the evening of Labor Day, and it's going to last 3 days. We're going to have lows in the 30s and going to get down to 25 on Tuesday. So things are peaking right now. There is stuff ready to be harvested. I've been harvesting for the past month and a half. Been pretty busy out here getting a lot of zucchini, squash, pickles, tomatoes are started to come in really good in the past week, two weeks. Corn has been awesome. We picked a lot of corn, and things have been going really well. But now we got a frost, and I've got a huge garden that I need to cover parts of and pick the rest, I think. Now, the main concern for me is the tomatoes. So, we're gonna have to buy some row cover for these. I have to go out and get them. I'm gonna have to get some conduit and bend it so I can make a tunnel. What I'm thinking I'm gonna do, they're all short because they're all determinate plants. So I don't need to go really high. So I might make some low tunnels. And what I might do is take them out of the cages and the posts that I've got in there. And what I think I'll do is I'll put a bunch of straw underneath them and then let the vines just rest on the straw. That way I don't have to go like really high with the tunnel. I have to think of all situations out here in Colorado. We don't know what's going to happen with the weather. Early snows in the spring, late snows in the spring, early snows in the fall. You got to be prepared, and I'm not right now. Green beans have really taken to that. Love that they're kind of growing up and over. Early on, all the beans were kind of really low to the ground, so you had to pick down there just like you would a normal bush bean. But since then, those beans have come up right up all there, and it makes it super easy to pick. So next year I am considering building the tunnel further down, and doing more, probably the cucumbers on that, as well as maybe even some melons. In terms of pounds of green beans, I've gotten close to what I've grown on a full bed of bush beans that's taken up the entire bed, and I had to bend over and sit and pick in all those. This has been really easy, and so that has turned out really successful. My tomatoes all the way down there, all the cages and posts I've got along there. This is what I'm gonna have to all cover. Should give you an update on that as we go. This was the bed of edamame soybeans. Again, I have to go look at my tally. I'll put that in there's a little graphic there of how much soybeans I got. But yesterday I took all the plants, stripped all the beans that were good, froze those, and then all the ones that were brown and passed, I just kind of stripped off the plant into a bucket, and got 2 bushels full and gave those to the chickens yesterday. And they are still eating on those, so turned out all right. And we got plenty, chickens got plenty. There's my zucchini and squash bed right through the middle there. This has been very successful for me this year. I've gotten a bunch of those, done lots of noodles, done lots of shreds, froze those. Yesterday I did slices because I was looking for something new to freeze. So those are in the freezer right now. And we've been having a little bit of fresh here and there and giving some away. Now there's still more on them, and I'll pick what I can on Monday, and I think let those kind of rest after that with the frost, and we'll kind of let that go. Here's that tomato variety I was telling you about, the Oregon Star. Plum tomatoes here. These things, not plum tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. But again, just kind of seeing the size of these things. Even though they're green,
not quite ready yet. We got some more coming in up there. These things have gotten really big. I've been really happy with these. So, like I said, I'm gonna save as much as I can. Let's kind of go down here to the other variety of. So this is still the Oregon Star. Here's the other variety of Roma tomato, which is the Heinz 2563 or some number like that. You can see the size of that. Regular size Roma tomato, but those other Oregon Stars are huge. We got some Mountain Merit down here. Here's some Mountain Merit. Now this is a slicer. It's beefsteak. These things have been coming in. Had a half-pound one of these the other day. Delicious too on a burger. So yeah, we're gonna save these things. And a lot of green ones that should ripen up over the next month if we don't get any more crazy snowstorms. So I want to get as much of these as I can. Here's my tomatillo bushes right here. But I've gotten quite a bit of those. Already made some salsa. A lot of little ones. Still pretty. You can even see still pretty hollow inside. So quite a bit aren't ready yet. We'll see what we're gonna do if we can get those covered or not. Here's my little cherry tomatoes. Those are the ones that are indeterminate, so they're growing up the posts. We had this one up close here, a yellow pear, and it had gotten up to the top of the post, but then the vine essentially collapsed, and so it's kind of slid down the post, and so now it's kind of growing up from down there. Still getting a bunch of those. Saved a bunch of those seeds, so I'm hoping that we can grow this one again. This seemed to be the favorite of all the family. It looks like it gets pretty prolific, so we're going to have to play with that one a little bit more next year. A lot of basil here. If I can get enough row cover, pick what I can, but still cover it. So I'd love to get another month's worth of basil for pesto. We do a lot of pesto freezing. Here you'll see these are much closer to being ready to pick here. Not quite dry as I'd like it to be, but I'm going to have to go with it. I just don't want to pick them while they're too wet, because then they can rot while they're in the pod while they're drying. So down here you can see jicama has not done very well this year. This is all as far as it's gotten since May or June, so not great. Probably not really meant for this climate, but we tried. We'll dig that up later and see if there's anything there. It's a root vegetable. We like jicama though, so we were hopeful. We got the pickling cucumbers over on this side, and then I don't know what this is. I think we got a stray seed in there or something. But we got these kind of things. This is unplanned, and I'm not sure. There's another one over here. I'm not sure what. I think it's a type of cucumber, but that thing's huge. It's idea of the size there. Not sure. So, wasn't planned, but there it is. That's kind of coming up with all my pickling cucumbers. We've got a few more here. I've got a lot of jars of pickles, so again, I can probably let some of this go. Here's my green bean tunnel again. Walk through there. Let's see all those. And look at tons of them. They're all probably not quite big enough yet. We got a few, but there's a lot of small ones there as well. So, again, like I said, pick what we can, let the rest go. Probably pick as much as I can on Monday. Again, here's that fall planted. I planted these back late August. These peas right here. So those are doing pretty well. I'm hoping they should hold up to the frosts, kind of what they're meant to do. So I might let them go. If I can get enough row cover, maybe I'll cover it. But that's going to be a lot more to cover. That goes all the way down to the onions in the middle there. And here's the corn. I have gotten great ears of corn. So I've had no cornworms, so I've been super happy about that. And 2 ears of corn pretty much from every stalk. Again, we'll just pick what we can on Monday and let the rest go. So some other things. Here's some grass and my watermelons and cantaloupe. A lot of good vines up through there. Had lots of flowers, not a lot of fruit. And what fruit I did have, I think, got snaked by a skunk or a fox or something. More candidates for the arch trellis next year. Chard, looking awesome here. So a lot of fungi to pick. I've already picked a bunch of this and frozen it. They're awesome. I love it. Putting it in soups and chilies and sauces and everything. Nice big leaves this year. So these have all done really well. I'm looking forward to lots of chard in the freezer. Here's our Long Island cheese pumpkin. Here, a big one over here. Yeah, not really, haven't got these seeds from a friend, so we'll enjoy these as they come in. More pinto beans over here, and some of these are definitely not ready to pick. So I guess we'll pick what we can, the dry ones. And then some peppers here. Plants never got very big. A lot of flowers again, but not a lot of fruit. So I have to rethink these a little bit. These are the Anaheims, a little bigger, still not Anaheim size. So, kind of disappointing there. Got some red bells. It's not quite red yet, but a couple of those. And then my Highlander peppers. Again, not huge. And the ones I have picked so far that were pretty big, and I thought they were big enough to pick, were very thin-walled, and so I didn't get a lot of flesh from them. So that was kind of a waste. And one last plant here is the Pueblo chili pepper, which I was only able to get one plant out of all the seeds I planted. So I did save some of these seeds, and hopefully we'll get some more next year. But yeah, that's the garden. It looked really great about a month ago. Still looks pretty good. Just now the bean leaves are getting yellow and things are kind of turning. But all in all, I've been very impressed with this garden this year. I'm very happy with it. Now I got to protect what I can and save what I can before a Labor Day snowstorm.
All right, so what I'm going to do today is make my own pole bender. I got a bunch of conduit today, and so we're going to bend that, get it ready to put the hoops in the ground. I've got fabric on order. There wasn't anything local, so I had to order it. I'm getting that by Sunday. I have to do a little sewing and stuff once it comes in, but we should hopefully get everything in the ground, all the hoops and stuff in the ground on Monday, and be ready hopefully for the freeze that night. But I wanted to bend the conduit first. I got a 1/2 inch EMT conduit. It was about $3 for a 10-foot pipe. I'll probably have to cut those down. I have to see how tall I want these.
Okay, so what I've got here is a kind of old piece of fiberboard I'm going to do anything with, at least had it for a few years in the back of the stack. So we're going to use it to make our pipe bender. So what I've got there in the middle is a string attached to a screw, and then a 20-foot string attached to the pencil. So I make a 40-inch arc, diameter arc, and then we'll see what the length is from there. All right, there we have the arc. So right now, just gonna get some screws and some 2x2s and start making my arc. Okay, there I've got my archway. Got some 2x2s framing the arch, and 2x4 over here that we're going to bend against. That one's probably the most reinforced. And I'll mount this on the wall, I think, and start bending. So, got it working. I did want to show some updates to the design. I added some 2x4s here just for a stronger, because that's where the initial bend starts, so I wanted a stronger base for that. Added screws along the curves, makes it a little smoother curve instead of kind of being a little dented around all the wood pieces. So now we're getting a nice smooth curve. And then I added down here some of my John Deere weights. So that's like 75 pounds right there, just as a stop to keep the pipe from slipping and sliding there, so we get a nice tight bend there. So there's my designs, and I'm going to show you how this all works. Final adjustment here. Go. Cinch it in there a little bit more, so parallel. We have our hoop. This is going to go, seems a little taller now, but it's going to probably go about that far down into the ground. So that should give enough cover for all our plants.
Not exactly sure what's going on here. I put these down on the straw yesterday. Came out this morning, kind of half bleached. It looks like a lot of them are, at least the green ones. So let's look into that. Not sure what happened.
All right, we got our first arc in. We got the road cover going down there. We've got loops every about 8 feet. They're going to put the poles through, the arches through. That's what's going to hold it in place. Okay, so we put these sleeves in, or put these loops in. We sewed them. And so we're just feeding the pipe through it, create the arch. Instead of tacking it down. Off the other end. There it is, fully in place. Way down the row. We didn't quite make it, so I'll probably put a little extra tarp in there later. All right, here we are, Monday afternoon, just afternoon, and we have picked corn, chard, peppers, some tomatoes, some zucchini and squash, green beans, and we've picked all the dry beans that were dry. There's still a few on there that aren't quite dried out yet, but I'm not too worried about those. We've got the tomatoes covered, we've got tomatillos and basil covered, and we got some peas covered, some fall peas. The fall peas probably would have been okay, but I decided to go ahead and cover those anyway. But all in all, I think we're pretty well done, and the garden is ready to get its first snowstorm the day after Labor Day. So we'll see how this all goes. Well, here we are, Friday morning. We had the snow Tuesday, freezing temperatures Wednesday night, Thursday, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night.
and so I kept them on. Today I came out, started pulling back the covers a little bit. Everything looks great. Even some of the stuff we didn't cover seems to be doing okay. The pickling cucumbers seem to be okay. The rare cucumbers not so much. Chard looks okay. Peppers actually look okay. I didn't even cover those. Tomatoes look great, except for I'd shown you before we covered everything. Some of them had gotten some sun scald, it looks like. And so those are still sun scalded, and I'll have to pick those and probably just give them to the chickens. So I've learned my lesson on that one. But the rest seem to be doing okay, so we should still be able to get quite a few tomatoes and everything here. I'm letting the covers dry out a little bit in the sun. It's pretty wet with the dew and moisture, so we're going to let those dry out a little bit, and then I'm going to put the middle two away. So I'm probably going to leave the cover on the tomatoes like that, just kind of pulled back. I'll probably tie it up a little bit so it stays, just to give a little shade, just because I exposed so much when I laid them down. So but we should still get plenty of tomatoes from that. All in all, we made it through. Got more beans to pick eventually, and potatoes that are looking like they're ready to come out. So we still got a lot of life left in the garden, and we're gonna keep going. So here's a lesson I learned. I'm gonna do differently next year. So one of the reasons I took down the tomato cages because they were too tall to put a cover over. But the plants themselves are determinate, so they've only got about 2 feet high. Some of the cages were 3 or 4 feet tall. So I don't really need that much cage. Cages have been getting pretty crowded. I trimmed as best I could throughout the season, trying to keep it, air flowing through. But they do get bunched up a lot in those smaller cages. So when I laid them down, took them out of the cage and laid them down on the straw, there was a lot more exposure to sun really quickly, because we still had, I did that, I believe on Saturday, we still had 2 days of 90-degree heat and sun before the snow hit, and before we got the covers on. So I sun scalded them, quite a few of them. There's still a lot on here that aren't, and so I'm happy about that. We'll still have plenty, but going forward, here's what I'm thinking. Now I know Ruth Stout mentioned in one of her books, but she didn't go into any detail, that she just lets her tomato vines crawl all over the ground, essentially on the straw and the mulch. She has a really thick mulch. I don't know if I'm ready to do that. We might test that out with a few plants next year, but what I want to do instead is get a lot of shorter, or cut down a lot of the cages I have, maybe use the tops of them that are wider, but cut them in half so they're shorter, and I only need like 2 feet worth, right? Now I've got hoops now that'll cover that. So if I have shorter cages, they can and hopefully wider, they can still spread out, not get quite so dense in there, and still have the support they need, instead of having 3 or 4 foot cages on 2 foot tall plants. It just didn't make any sense. So I think I'm going to do that next year and just use, or might fashion one myself out of just kind of a round, cut some fencing in a nice big wide circle, but low to the ground, a foot or 2 tall. That should give them the support they need, and also be low enough that I can just cover them. I won't have to take the cages off completely to put the covers on if we get another early freeze next year. So lesson learned again. So every year I learn something new, and sometimes it unfortunately takes a toll on some of the harvest. But what I'm excited about is the covers worked, and going forward I now have those. They'll be easier to put on, and I still got lots of tomatoes left, so I'm excited about that too. So we've still got another month or so of ripening,
and hopefully a lot more tomatoes to come.